Well, welcome to this week's edition of Mainly Motorsports, and it's always a pleasure, always exciting, and always learn something when we have Dan Wolf in the studio. So I want to welcome you to your first appearance on Mainly Motorsports for 2019.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. I always jump at the chance to be on. We share the fact that we both have a lot of our life tied up in automobile racing and trying to put a good foot forward for it. So I got up this morning, it was daylight. I left work, it was daylight. The birds are at the bird feeder. It said the other day that spring had started.
Yeah, so
I think we're going to have some races here very shortly.
Racing's right around the corner. They just had it this past weekend for a lot of Northerners down at Richmond, and we're right around the corner. Wiscasset's getting ready with some practice days. The Icebreaker's coming up. Beechridge, usually the past seems like forever. They haven't really fired things up till around Memorial Day. They're firing up the 1st of May.
Absolutely. And I think that 2019 is going to be a really good race car season for local racetracks, all of them. I think for Beechridge, it will be even better than normal. They've made some changes, and the changes, I'm not in that part of it. I only go to the announcer meeting. But the changes they made, it seems like they were listening to the fan body and to the drivers. The regular season starts May 4th and runs all the way to September 14th. And that is going to be pretty exciting. Only 2 races of that entire season are more than the $12 NASCAR Nights Grandstand admission. A couple of bucks extra for 4th of July fireworks show, and then when the modifieds are in town, it's a little bit more. And people today want that affordable ticket. I mean, they like the big shows and everything, but it's hard to budget that in for your family. And, you know, in the pits, so I heard a lot of guys say, you know, I love these big shows, but it costs so much to get in the pits. It's hard to race my Wildcat for the same purse that I normally get when it costs twice as much to get in. So that's going to be a good thing. They extended Thursday Thunder at Beechridge for 2019. That starts on the 13th of June and runs all the way until championship night on the 29th, I believe, of August. And then they're having the midweek challenge series Thursday, September 12th. So the Speedway's running from May 4th way into September. Car Wars, of course, is going to be the same every Friday night in July, but Day of Destruction was running one Saturday per regular season month last year. This year, Day of Destruction has moved to 2 Sunday shows, June 21st or June 26th and July 21st. And they've got a final event that's going to be the last event at the Speedway on September 20th. And that's way late for what the Speedway's been running. So that's going to be a long season for everybody.
It sounds like they've gone back to their traditional.
The way it was when I raced there. We went to October.
You know, the 3 Days of Destructions, one around Memorial Day, one around the 4th of July, and one around Labor Day. There's always been a staple at that track, and it worked. Last year, they tried something, and I don't care who you are, it didn't. You know, it didn't work.
Well, part of it's the racing in May 26th, not June 26th, and then July. So there's quite a big between those two, and then all the way to September. Part of that, I'm in the used car business, there aren't a lot of old cars available that these guys can use for this at a reasonable price.
So much that
you can't have one every month and run out and pay $500 for an old truck to use in an old car. I mean, you can't do that. So that's going to work out good. But one big thing that they've got at the Speedway is last year, if you ran on a regular NASCAR night show, you got one night a month off. This year, there's only one weekend off, and that's July 19th and 20th is a real experiment as to see where people are. The Monster Truck Throwdown, that's a 2-day event. Of course, you know Tom Bennett from racing, and he does the timing, the electronic timing at the Speedway and NASCAR nights, and one of the rotation announcers for Thursday Thunder program, and he is a big monster truck proponent.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I haven't talked to him, but I'm sure that he had a big influence on getting Andy to bring these guys into town and those things are good. if it's successful, and I think it will be, it will bring lots of new people, and it'll fill that grandstand with new people. And we need new people for this sport to stay going. So that's going to be a good thing. So it's really a good season at Beech Ridge.
Very diverse.
Yeah, but keeping that price point, that $12 NASCAR nights and $8 for Thursday Thunder, you know, yes, people would like to see some more spectacular stuff, but, you know, we have to compete with all of the different types of entertainment for that entertainment dollar. It's not, we're not looking for race fans, we're looking for entertainment dollars.
Yep.
And that's a broad part of it, you know. And for those of us who do it, you know, you're at almost 620 shows. That's 620 hours. Figure that out in the amount of time just here on air. And the rest of it, the story that it goes. And like most of racing, the first thing they will tell you if you want to be the announcer at Beech Ridge or if you want to have Mainly Motorsports TV is don't quit your day job. That's the first advice.
I didn't.
because for most of us, these media things are much like having our own race car. It's a hobby that we do, and if we get a few bucks for it, great, but we're not doing it for the money.
Yeah, no.
And speaking of things that you do, though, you know, we talked about spring being here and what a long winter it was. It wasn't the worst snow, it wasn't the coldest, but it was gray, and it was a long winter. And the two bright spots were your two shows.
I appreciate it. I enjoy it. You know, it's a chance during the off season to get together with some people, talk in a more relaxed environment. You're not waiting to hear, you know, your call to line up. You're not waiting to get your tires ready. You're not. I call it a relaxed environment.
So many guys come and they're just going to run up to the show or run at the Augusta Civic Center, the Northeast Motorsports Show, or to the Racing Preview at the Portland Expo, and they're just going to stop by. And they stop by, and they're there for 4 or 5 or 6 hours, and then they get something to eat, and they rotate around in a circle because another friend that they haven't seen in years and a guy that they raced with 20 years ago shows up, and it's great conversations. But it's good for the sport, too. We were lucky enough to have my grandson's Whiz Kid car at both shows. We had a second Whiz Kid, Cameron Ledoux. Steve brought his boys in the car to that show. And you could see the little kids, younger kids, interacting with each other.
Realizing that could be me.
Well, you know, we didn't have that when we were younger.
You know what's funny, Dan? These kids are getting ready and getting their race cars prepared to go racing. You know what I was hoping to do at their age? Oh man, I hope I draw my ticket tonight to be junior fan club winner.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to bring it up at the meeting because I see some people every now and then. Willie Davis will post pictures because he's got a big stack of the old programs, and he'll post pictures of people that were the junior fan club winner, and you know, it's like, oh my God, that's what Danny Walker looked like when he was 11.
Yeah.
And you look down through that. So I'm going to suggest that as something for it because. A way to get the kids involved, we were just so ready for that. But people don't remember when I came to Beech Ridge in the early 1970s, you had to be 21 years of age to get in the pits. There were several guys who owned race cars as teenagers and couldn't go in the pits with them. I think Bobby Turner owned race cars and couldn't go in the pits. He had to watch from the grandstands. And he wasn't alone in that. If you had a team, you could bring in a maximum of 5 people. If any of them committed any mischief, you could get thrown out because the guy you signed in told someone off. And you know, it was such a closed little circle. And so we were, like you say, we spent our time that these kids are going out for the Whiz Kid car, looking through the holes in the chain link fence, wishing that we could be on the other side of that fence.
As we talk about the 70s and 80s, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, I know you were heavily involved in the project that Melvin Dobbins brought to the Racing Preview Show, the 10 spot, the tribute car, the replica car of Bobby Timmons Sr. And I want you to tell, because I know there's a lot more. I looked at it, I heard a few stories, but I know there's a lot more that goes on and it took place to get that to where it is. but the history behind it all. And we want to hear it from you. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back from the owner of 21st Century Motors, Dan Wolf.
Wiscasset Speedway is back, and we have the cure for your need for speed. Maine's biggest and fastest proudly presents 8 feature divisions, including Pro Stocks, late models, 4-cylinder Pro Stocks, modifieds, and more. Plus special features throughout the season, including the Nell Car Legends, the Wicked Good Vintage Racers, the NEMA Midgets, Enduros, and more. All this fun, all this excitement, all for just $5. Wiscasset Speedway, West on the Road, Wiscasset. Online at Facebook and WiscassetSpeedway.com.
Don't deal with just anybody to seal coat your driveway or business this season. Call Black Magic. They bring over 20 years of experience in seal coating and crack filling. Black Magic's skilled team makes sure the job is always done right, on schedule with quality workmanship at a fair price. Protect your investment in your driveway by getting it sealed with Black Magic.
Ooh, Black Magic.
My name is Scott. This is Devin. We're the owners of Black Magic Seal Coating. Let us earn your business today. You'll be glad you did.
Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by LKQ Core. Any part, any repair, anywhere. Located on Route 202 in Gorham.
Bentley Saloon, Route 1 in Arundel. Stop by and see why me and my friends say, who has more fun than us? We do.
Well, welcome back to Mainly Motorsports, and like I mentioned before we went to the break, that car that Melvin Dobbins put together was absolutely gorgeous, and there was no stone left unturned. And I know, right underneath the injectors, Dan Wolf Auto Sales. When that car came out 30 years ago, right underneath the injectors, Dan Wolf Auto Sales. So tell everybody the history, the relationship, everybody involved.
A lot of people know Melvin Dobbins because he's been instrumental in getting some of these cars restored, the 61 Cusack modified, the barrel car, the P38 that Homer drove. He got Bobby Bushley to bring the P38 sprint car down from the loft in the barn, and Melvin put it back together and got it ready. That's not Melvin's anymore, but those cars. He came about 2 years ago and said, you sponsored that 10-spot car back years ago. Would you be interested in sponsoring it again? And I said, I'm in. He said, because I'm going to build a replica. And a little background on Melvin Dobbins. Melvin's younger than I am. When Melvin was a teenager, he bought an old Art Jones race car for a few dollars, and Bob Timmons Sr. was working at Leo's Mobile in Little Falls, in that end of Gorham, and they stopped at Mel's house, and Leo said, I want to buy that car. It was an A-class car.
Yep.
And that got Bobby Timmons Sr. started with that old car, which was probably unsatisfactory, but whatever. The following year, they started to put together this sprint car, and Melvin, the neighborhood kid, still a teenager in high school, he was pretty thrilled with this whole thing. And that was what caused him to want to build a replica of that. The car, original car, Bobby bought, they put it together, asked if we would sponsor it, and I said sure, and it was so much money, and we'd paint the car green for them. Leo, madly in love with being an Irishman, the car has shamrocks on it, yep. Green paint, and so we brought the car over to my old shop in Gorham, and I started to paint it. I was going to be the hero and paint the car, and I didn't get one side of the hood done, and the paint gun dripped a big blob of paint in the middle of the hood. Well, I was 24 or 5 years old. I was a little bit on the wild side, and I was just steaming mad that this was happening. And Tim Sturgis was working for me at that point, and he said, why don't you run uptown and get a pizza and some beer, and I'll clean the green paint off of the hood, and when you get back, you'll be calmed down and you can paint it. I said, good deal, well, let me run up to the store. So I come back, and Tim's grinning like a cat eating bees, and he says, all painted. And I was angry again because I wanted to be the hero that painted this car, and and it came out beautifully. And so that got that started. That car ran there for 76, 7, and 8. It won the final sprint car super modified race at Beech Ridge in 1978. In 79, Beech Ridge went to a mixture of those type cars and the NASCAR modifieds, and Bob Timmons Sr. declined. He didn't want to race a 1,200-pound car against a 2,600-pound car because he didn't think that was good math. Smart fella. Bob Sr. went on to horse racing and parked that car. The owner of Shea Concrete, the Shea family that has so many race cars that they sponsor at Star Speedway,
Still in the super modified world.
wanted that car and would come up to Bob and say, I want it. Bob would say, no, I don't want to sell it. I'm keeping it. It's mine. I'm saving it. Finally, Shea shows up with a big satchel full of money and flops it on the table and says to Bob, I'm buying the car tonight. Count the money. And it was a lot of money for the time. And Bob said, okay, I'll sell you the car, but I'm going to put the money in the safe. When you're done with the car, you bring the car back here, and I'll give you the money. Otherwise than that, I don't want to sell it to you. And the agreement was made. Well, sometime over the years, that got lost track of, and that car got sold to a guy in California, and it's gone. That's what caused the need to build a replica. But for those of you who go to Star Speedway and have a history with that 10-spot car became the red Shea Concrete sprint car that Bentley Warren drove. And that car was still a good automobile when it raced at Star.
Now fast forward 30 years.
Wow.
30 plus years.
Melvin goes around. Tim Dolby is still around from Dolby Funeral Chapel, and the names have changed and he's different partners, but he was on one side of the hood. I was on the other. We both agreed to sponsor. The rest of the sponsors have all either gone out of business or passed away. And so, but it's recreated with the sponsors that were on it. And when the car was coming together, Melvin asked about getting it painted. And I said, well, let me go ask Timmy if he wants to do it. Tim Sturgis, now the master painter, master body man at Wyman's in Gorham, and said he would be delighted to do that car a second time around. So he painted it, and it came out
beautiful,
as all Wyman's work comes out, beautiful. And the second thing was that car was hand lettered, which is most all race cars were hand lettered. We didn't have vinyl lettering in the 70s. And Warren Hamilton was a very young man when he lettered that car in the 1970s. I'm not sure if he was still in high school or just out. And he lettered that car for me. He lettered it again in 2019. So that's quite a span. And part of the story of that 10-spot race car is when Warren Hamilton lettered that car, the original time in 1975 or 6, the word font was not part of the lexicon. I don't even know what font, I didn't even know what font meant. The sign painter looked at you and said, what kind of a 10 do you want? And I thought for a minute, reached in my wallet, pulled out a $10 bill, and it was the old style $10 bill, and I said, I want that 10. And that was the 10 on the nose cone of that car that has the little band across the 10, and it spells out TEN on it. And I don't think Warren was done lettering the car, and someone looked and said, oh, this is really beautiful, it's the 10 spot. And that's how that name got stuck on that. It was actually the 10 from a $10 bill was the number in the car. And so the sad and tragic part about this recreation is that Melvin had hurried along as best he could to get this car together because we had the February show as a goal to display it. And just weeks before the replica was completed, Bob Timmons Sr. passed away, and that was a sad thing. And however, I'm going to say we're going to put up some pictures of Bob Timmons Jr. and Bobby III with that car at your show for people to share with us while we talk about this. That was sad. And then one of the crew members of the 10 spot was Wayne Brown, the Gorham police officer. He had promised Melvin that he would come in that Friday night of your race and preview show and see the car and enjoy the whole thing. He got sick that day, went to the hospital and passed away on Sunday. So it was a little bit of a bittersweetness about it, but we're hoping to have the car out so that we can show it in different places. I'm hoping that it's going to be a nice day so I can bring it to the Memorial Day Parade in Gorham. I'm working on trying to get a trailer long enough so that I can build an enclosure on the front and extendable ramps so that when you get to the parade you can roll it out, because we just don't want that car outside. It's beautiful, and I don't want to get it rained on.
If you get a chance to see this, whether it's at the Bentley's All Airs Car Show, Parade, the Reynolds Day, I know that's a big day, everything that's going, you have to see this car. And man, it's I don't even need to be here. You're just a wealth of knowledge.
Well, thank you.
With everything, and it's a pleasure. We're going to take a break. We're going to let Amy come in. She's going to interview one of the guys that races on a weekly basis up at Oxford Plains Speedway, Chris Foster. Last week we heard from his girlfriend, Addie McDaniel. Man, I don't know if I'd want to have a girlfriend that raced, especially when she's pretty good. Yeah,
that happened to my son, John. He had been racing for a while, and then his I don't know if they were married at the time or whether it was his future wife, Caitlin Ridgway Wolf. Well, he'd been racing along and slugging, trying to get top 5 points finished, and she won the championship. And it was kind of like,
oh yeah. So we're going to take a break. We come back, a couple of segments with Amy and Chris, and then we'll come back with Dan and finish up and talk about some other things. And I know you got some stuff that you're just dying to get out there.
I can't wait.
All right, we'll take a break and we'll be right back here on Mainly Motorsports.
Legendary race car driver Bentley Warren is putting Arundel on the map. When Bentley's Saloon opened in 2004, it was just a little bar room on the side of the road. Today we have a giant saloon with live music, dancing, and great food and drink indoors and out. We're always looking to meet new friends and have a good old time. There's always something exciting going on at Bentley's. That's why we like to say, who has more fun than us? We do!
For a trusted name in residential and commercial site work in the southern Maine area, call Peter Pettit Excavating. We can handle everything from the complete house lot to those nasty water and sewer line repairs. Septic systems are another area that we specialize in. During the snow season, Pettit Excavating has the equipment to handle any size job.
And when the race season arrives, be sure to follow the number 7 Hewitt's Family Restaurant Chevrolet on the past Super Late Model Tour.
Call 207-282-9305 to get the job done right. That's Peter Pettit Excavating.
Patman's Redemption and Agency Liquor Store is located at 95 Tanberg Trail in Windham, Maine. With over 400 feet of hard liquor and 15 doors of ice-cold beer and soda, Patman's can handle all of your beverage needs. And if it's wine on your agenda, we have over 300 varieties in stock. Then when the party's over, Patman's can handle all of your Maine returnables, and we welcome all bottle drives. And if you're late for the race, drop off the bottles and pick up the cash at your convenience.
Hey, this is Patman himself, just letting you know that Patman's is your one-stop shop for all your thirsty needs.
And welcome back to Mainly Motorsports, and we're here with another special guest who happens to be Eddie's boyfriend, Chris Foster. You also race at Oxford Plains Speedway. Moving into the, well, not moving into, but returning to the Rebels this season, have raced Bandits in the past. So can you start us off by telling us how you got involved in racing? Do you have any racing roots, or is it kind of just like you started this movement in your family to get behind the wheel?
Well, it all started as I was a baby. My dad always helped Joe Constantino in the pits. And then my dad raced, and I always wanted a race car after that. And I was like, wow, my dad's racing, I want to race. And he didn't really want me to race, but I turned 18, bought my own race car, and he's been nothing but supportive after that, though. I've always wanted to be like my dad, so.
So you kind of had no choice at that point, but it's where you're racing when you're like, well, you know, I'm 18 now, I'm gonna go buy my own race car.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite racing memory to date? It could either be from, you know, growing up watching people at the racetrack, or your own, you know, special memory that means a lot to you.
I mean, I have a lot of great memories with racing. One of them was probably my first trophy ever, but it was really nothing better than seeing my dad win his first race, so that was pretty awesome.
And what do you enjoy most about getting behind the wheel? Like you said, you've raced in, like, you know, kind of different divisions here and there. So what has led you to, you know, get behind the wheel in the division that you're racing in now? What do you like most about that?
I like obviously racing with Addie, and just all the people. They're all good sports usually, and just I don't even know.
And as we talked about with her, like there's a ton of competition at Oxford. It's kind of crazy going and seeing just like the fields of cars like every week in and week out there. So what do you think is the key to, you know, to success, and why people like love, you know, that track so much?
Well, I don't know. It's usually a really good. The people around it are really good, and the way the track's run, I like the way it is. And there's so many helpful people out there, like she was talking about earlier. There's always people, if you come in with a flat or whatever, there's always people that run down and try and help, and other teams. And like, I usually, her dad and of course her pit crew's tied up with her, so if I come down, they'll run in if Addie doesn't come in. But most helpful people that have been to me is the White brothers, Cody and Zach, and of course Emmett. They're always there to help, and I know they got their own car to worry about, and so it's just cool that everyone will help out when they can. And it's just awesome people.
And in 2018 was another successful like season for your team. A lot of solid finishes throughout the course of the season. So what are some of take us through 2018 and kind of how that went, and what are some of the things that you're going to take with you into 2019 as we move into that season as well?
Hopefully more trophies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finally nailed down my first 2 trophies last year, and that was pretty awesome. I mean, I wrecked a lot more than I was hoping, but just got tied up with other people. It is what it is, but hopefully a better year next year, or this coming season. Hopefully more trophies, better points run, but other than that, I think that's about it. Yeah.
It's always good to feel like, you know, trophies always nice. You get that little hardware to, kind of represent your like hard work as well.
Yeah. I've always said I was going to give it to my first trophy to my nephew. I was like, oh, I don't really want to get rid of that.
And how does it feel for your like dad, to be there at the track like with you, like watching you like have that success too?
It feels good because him and my sister are super. They're obviously my biggest fans, and I think him and my sister were more excited when I got my first trophy than I was.
I think that's one thing too, is that like at the racetrack too, it becomes like, family is so important. Your family becomes your team and becomes the people that are out there like cheering you on in the stands too. But then the people that you're surrounded by at the racetrack too, sit next to in the pits become your family as well. So I feel like that's one thing that's really cool about our sport as a whole too.
Yeah, it's definitely one big family, like Addie's, their whole crew, and then just everyone, most get along with everybody at the track, and they're always usually nice, and because we got several crews that we're pretty good friends with, like the Whites, the Moons, and they're just all awesome people.
Yeah. And like you said, looking for more trophies in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
Some more, maybe some checker flags.
Yeah, I hope so.
So maybe we'll take a break here, and we'll come back and we'll talk to you a little bit more about how the car is coming for 2019, and giving your sponsors a spotlight as well. And we'll be right back with you on Mainly Motorsports.
Football fans, have we got a deal for you? VIP Tour and Charter Bus Company is offering round-trip transportation to Gillette Stadium to watch the New England Patriots make another run for the Super Bowl. Ride in style knowing we're doing the driving. So if you've got a ticket, we've got your ride. It doesn't get any better than that. Just log on to VIPChartercoaches.com, click on the Browse Book Tour button, and book your trip today. It's that simple. Relax and leave the driving to us, and we'll leave the tailgating to you.
Hi, I'm Scott from Scott's Recreation. We just had the biggest month in our history. Why? We're selling campers at wholesale to the public, even the 2019s. So what did we do? We went out and bought a bunch more. Up to 40% off travel trailers and fifth wheels, up to 35% off toy haulers, up to 30% off motorhomes. You'll never see these prices again. Over 400 campers to choose from, all at wholesale prices.
Scott's Recreation, Route 4 Turner and Route 202 Manchester, Maine.
Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by
Scott's Recreation. Whether you're thinking about your first camper or looking to upgrade your current one, Scott's Recreation can help you. Get both our Route 202 Manchester and our Route 4 Turner locations, and online at scottsrecreation.com.
Welcome back to Mainely Motorsports, and we're here with Chris Foster. And as you saw before the break, we talked to you a little bit about how you got into racing, you know, the importance of, you know, your family when it comes to your racing career. And I wanted to ask you, we saw a lot of photos of like Addie's car this past weekend at the Auburn Mall show, but we didn't see too many pictures of your car. Was it there at the show? And if not, like, how's things coming together for the season coming up?
It actually was not there, and it's actually still sitting on the trailer from last race. Just threw a tarp over and called it good for the season. But it's thawing out pretty good.
Yeah.
So we'll get in. We usually do it last minute, so.
Any major changes coming in 2019, or just kind of going to stick with the, you know, the setup that you had for 2018?
Yeah, we got quite a bit of changes coming, and a totally, just like Addie, totally different paint scheme, different colors. Actually doing a Leland Kangas throwback, because my dad did one, and that was his favorite driver. So I thought it would be cool if bring it back down, but I'll take over it, and might as well do a year with it.
I think it's really cool. Like, Addie has a throwback this season too. And then, like you said, your dad was a fan of like Leland. Was he like one of your racing like people that you looked up to too growing up, or did you have like other drivers too that you were just like, I want to be like that person when I'm older?
Leland ended before I remember.
Yeah.
But Al Hammond was my home track hero. I always wanted to be like Al. And of course, we got to meet him, which was awesome. And he always said, just call me Uncle Al. So he was my favorite driver growing up.
We talked about that too, with like Steve too. It's changed in a little bit of ways in racing, where like, you know, when you were younger, you like held these people on a pedestal, and they were like, you know, the shining light. And now we don't see too much, like Steve said, of, you know, people having these like heroes that they say like, oh, like this is like Mike Rowe, and they're like, oh, this is Mike Rowe, and now you're, you know, bumping shoulders with Mike Rowe when you go to different racing events. So it's really cool to, you know, kind of pay tribute to those drivers that, you know, we did look up to when you were younger, when I was younger, when all of us, you know, in our early days of, you know, getting into racing.
Yeah, definitely.
And then so I talked about it a little bit too, is that at the ladies round table, it says she just kind of, you know, hands the tools and like gets tools when needed when it comes to working on the car. But you're definitely more hands-on when it comes to racing. So talk to us a little bit about that, and how important do you think it is for a driver to, you know, be hands-on and, you know, get to learn about the mechanics of the car as well as, you know, being behind the wheel?
I think it's real important to kind of do your own thing, because that way you know what the car's doing. Like I've always had great help, but I preferred to do most of it by myself, just so I knew. And it's just like I've had help by Bill Dunphy, my dad, Addie's dad. They're all super big help, and of course Jamie Heath's helped me. And I just think it's more important to know what the car's, so you know what to feel for and you know what it's doing. I'm like, oh well, maybe if we put a spring rubber here, or maybe adjust the tire pressure there and loosen the car up, adjust the sway bar. So just that way you know what you're dealing with. And I just think that's super important for a driver to be able to work on his ride too.
Yeah. And from the show too, Dustin Sally made a post like, you know, thanking you for your help. So during the off season, do you spend time, you know, helping like other drivers get their cars ready? And like he said, you did some body work for his car?
Yeah, that was my job. He messaged me and said, hey, would you be interested in painting and doing some body work on my car? And I was like, yeah, Dustin's always been a good guy to me, so I was like, yeah, I'll help you out. And of course, a couple other people asked, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that. But Dustin's always been a real good guy to me. He's very appreciative. And we got to win the first in the class, so that was pretty cool, knowing that I painted his car and stuff. So.
Must be cool, like, you know, seeing something get an award and be like, hey, I had my hand in, you know, making that happen. Yeah. And then during the off season, I know a lot of drivers do different things, you know, kind of stay involved in motorsports. So is there any ways that you kind of like are still like linked to racing in the off season? I know a lot of people do like snowmobiling, some people do karting during the winter. So how do you, you know, kind of still remain a part of like racing during the winter?
Well, actually both of those, me and Addie go snowmobiling, or we go to Maine indoor karting, and we get pretty competitive down there.
That's the next thing I was going to ask you, because you guys have raced like together before, obviously very supportive of each other. So what's it like with both of you, you know, being drivers and racing? Do you guys get like super competitive in life as well?
Yes, very competitive, especially at main indoor. If she's in front of me, I'll turn her just so she's not beating me, or like even like mini golf or anything, and she usually beats me, but I definitely get a lot of heck from her team when she beats me, and they tell me, "How's it feel for your girlfriend to beat you?" I was like, "Not very good," but I'm happy. I'm happy for her.
I think that was one thing that's important, is, you know, kind of remain that competitiveness, to keep your relationship, you know, lively, but still, like, you know, kind of be there for her, you know, when she's in victory lane or winning races or needs help on a track too.
Yeah.
And then, so you talked a lot about, you know, how family and friends help you out over the course of the season. So who are some of the people that you would like to thank for helping you thus far in your career? And who are some of the sponsors that have helped you along the way?
Well, my job, actually, Countryside Auto Body, McDaniel's Auto, RPM Racing Engines, 207, and of course my dad and Addie's dad, they've always been right there to lend a hand. But other than that, that's about it, other than them. So.
And then, like you said, looking to win trophies in 2019. Yes. Is Oxford the only place that you plan on racing in 2019, or do you plan on, you know, branching out, maybe trying different places?
I'd like to go back to Wiscasset. I've run there once before, and we did all right and got turned around, and then that was the end of that.
And then same as her, how we can follow you, keep up with you during the race season. You're on Facebook as well.
Oh yes, yeah.
And do you have a team page or anything, or is it just kind of like a personal Facebook?
Just my personal. I don't have a page yet. I'm gonna work on that.
Not quite yet. I'll work on that.
Not too famous.
All right. Well, you can catch this guy in 2019 at Oxford. Also, if you want to, catch him on Facebook. And we're looking forward to seeing how you and Addie both do in 2019. And we'll be right back with you with some more on Mainly Motorsports.
Servicing differentials is virtually impossible. The confined space makes fill holes difficult to reach, and industry-standard conical bottles are rigid and hard to squeeze. That combination makes for a messy job. Plus, you can't get all of the gear lube out of the bottle, so you have to buy more than you need to complete the job. And engineering your own solution only results in disaster. Not anymore. Introducing the new AMSOIL Easy Pack. Easily access hard-to-service differentials. Easily squeeze out all of the contents. And easily stay clean while you do it. No more leftover fluid or inconvenient rigid bottles. No more trouble reaching difficult fill holes. No more mess. AMSOIL Severe Gear in the new Easy Pack. The solution to all your problems.
Another first from AMSOIL. For a stocking dealer nearest you, call toll-free 877-761-8375 or visit fourseasonsynthetic.com.
Well, welcome back to Mainly Motorsports. And you didn't think we were going to get through an episode where we don't mention Street Devils. I mean, you were the founding father, the 21st Century Street Devil Division.
Well,
big changes this year.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for, you might just get it. I mentioned before that I saw that Speedway management was listening to the people in both grandstands about what they wanted. And over last year and the year before, Street Devils had been running in whatever venue.
Yeah, selected.
Everything. And the guys really started, and girls started saying, you know, we really want to be on a fixed night and not race Saturday and then Thursday and then Friday. And I had mentioned that, gave it no thought. I stopped by to see Andy for our fall meeting, and he said, hey, guess what? We've got time now in Thursday Thunder. We're going to move the Street Devils division into Thursday Thunder, make them a permanent division. And I said, wow, that's really cool, because I've invested a lot of time and effort in trying to promote this. So for me, for them to be a full division. And he said, you know, it's going to save you a third of a mile a week, or a third of a mile per Street Devil show on foot. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, you don't have to walk all the way around to the grandstand and announce the Street Devils. And it hadn't really settled in yet. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, Thursday Thunder has its own announcer. And they're going to be part of the Thursday Thunder. And that was when it struck me. I said, so no one will be calling me at home for tech questions because they're going to go through regular tech. And I won't have to run upstairs and talk with Danny Walker about what the starting lineup's going to be. And it's kind of nice. I don't have to do any work for it anymore.
Yep.
However, Andy Cusack was really gracious as we built this thing because he let me have incredible leeway. And it was kind of like having your own thing that you could just make a decision and didn't have to ask anybody.
Yep.
And now, if someone comes to me and says, sorry, I'm just the announcer whatever nights I announce.
Yeah.
But it's great. The car count's growing. There's more cars under construction. The guys down in Alfred are going to have, I think, a total of 4 cars painted for the
champs moved on.
For the Days of Thunder. Rob Flaherty's got a Days of Thunder paint thing and one for Trevor. They're going to have a 4th one this year. And you're right about the champion. Darryl Quinlan, champion for the first 2 years of the series, has decided to move full-time into just taking care of his beetle bug, make room for somebody else. So the championship's wide open. There's no returning champion. And our scientist, Dan Schaefer, transferred up to the scientific labs up in Bar Harbor, and he has another friend who's a scientist, and they will be commuting down on Thursday nights from Bar Harbor to race Thursday Thunder in the Street Devils. So it's going to be a pretty exciting year for it. They're going to be in the show, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around halftime, either last show before halftime or first after break.
And this will be huge for that division because it'll give them some stability. People now know. Everybody wants to know what we're doing, when we're doing it.
And it will, I hope, encourage more people to build cars for this because we still have the same dilemma that we had in the beginning, which is that all racetracks need a strong entry-level thing because people come and people go, and we need to bring lots of new people in so that you know, when you think about the people in the Maine Auto Racing Hall of Fame that started out in a street stock car, it's most of them.
Yeah, oh no, absolutely.
So the Street Devils are going to be a great thing. I'm not going to have any say in it anymore, but I'll stay busy.
He says that, but if you need anything or any questions, contact Dan. So we're going to take a break and we'll come back, and I want to talk a little bit about Johnny when we come back. You know, there's a guy that's he's paid his dues, and a guy like that, he supports the track, supports what he does. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back here with Dan Wolf.
Welcome to LST Landscaping, where we've been providing complete landscape solutions to all of southern Maine since 1969. We specialize in year-round landscape maintenance and snow services, including weekly lawn mowing, seasonal cleanups, sweeping, mulching, and so much more. Many more customizable services are available upon request. Please call our office today at 207-878-1578 or visit our website, lstlandscapinginc.com.
Ignition won't turn? Wait, don't tow it. It may just be a one key. Hi, I'm Jim Broadhurst, owner of eKeys for Cars of Saco. At eKeys for Cars, we'll diagnose your problem over the phone and give you a firm quote. No bait and switch here. Whenever or wherever you're stuck, eKeys for Cars will come to you. Call eKeys for Cars in Saco, the fast, affordable fix for your car key and lock needs.
Hi, I'm Johnny Wolf. Here at 21st Century Motors, we've been in business since 1972 and we take pride in our work. We have a large selection of pre-owned vehicles that are clean and ready. I personally drive and state inspect every vehicle we sell. We're experts at getting your car financed, whether you have good, bad, or no credit. We purchase vehicles several times a week, so there's always plenty to choose from. Come on in and make a deal today at 21st Century Motors in Gorham or online at 21stcenturymaine.com.
Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by
Four Seasons Synthetic. See them for all your AMSOIL product needs. Well, I saw it when I mentioned Johnny when we went to break. You lit up like any proud papa should.
He is my pride and joy. I work with him on a day-to-day basis. He works at the shop. He runs the mechanical part of it. He's in training. I'm getting older. He's going to take over as soon as I get a little older. But I am so proud of his racing career. I think he must hold the record by now. This coming year will be his 14th straight year in the same division in Thursday Thunder. He started every race for the first 13 years that he was eligible for. And last summer, they lost the engine in practice, and I was bummed out because I thought that his 13 or 12 plus years streak of starting every race was going to come to end. And a big shout out to the Libby family from Cornish. Sarah said, hey, I still got a race, so you can't break it, but take my car so you can get your start and get a few points in the race. So he took the other 80 car, the ladies' league car out, and was able to continue his streak. And Johnny's an example of the opposite of what Speedway management thought would be Thursday Thunder's role. Thursday Thunder was brought in as a feeder system to bring new people in, and then they would leave and go to Saturday night and bolster that. And Johnny has no intention to move to Saturday nights. He loves Thursday Thunder. He enjoys what he's doing. As far as race cars go, his black number 42 car, this will be the 13th season for that same car.
Got his money's worth out of it.
Yeah, funny story, it's still got the original transmission that George Girardi, Sally's father, built for his original Thursday Thunder car. His white car from the first year was Sally Girardi's last Thursday Thunder car. And that we have never done anything except change the oil on the same transmission.
Wow.
That thing that turbo hydromatic 350's probably got 20 race seasons on it. So George Girardi's quite a transmission man. But I'm very proud of him, and it is a great series. It's quick. It's great for young fathers. He's a young father. He's got 2 young kids. He might consider when they get a little older maybe doing something on Saturday night, but he spends his weekends with the girls because we have a hard week at work, and then we've got Thursday Thunder, and so he doesn't want to move up and commit that weekend time.
Totally understandable.
Thursday Thunder has been great fun for him, and I am so delighted every time that he gets out on the Speedway, and I've learned a lot. This is my 52nd year being a race car nut. And I learned a lot from Johnny. And one of the things I learned from him was do not watch a race and decide what happened. Ask the driver.
It's only, guys, when an incident happens on the track, which this is perfect, because we're going to take this even a step further when we come back from a break. So you're absolutely right. Johnny's right. And it ain't every day that the kid can teach the old man something.
But he did, and he did it well.
Yeah, so we're going to take a break. We'll come back and wrap this week's show up with Dan Wolf, and we're going to talk about something that fires him up, fires me up, and I know it fires a lot of you up. So we'll be right back here on Mainly Motorsports.
Hi, I'm Sean Moody. We take pride in our facilities, and at Moody's, it's what's inside that matters. We believe it's more than just the exterior looking good, it's what's inside that matters. Restoring the structure of your vehicle to factory specs is critical to your safety. I'm proud of our Moody's co-worker owners who understand the importance of protecting your valuable asset. And we all know what our most valuable asset is. It's what's inside that matters.
Welcome to Mainly Motorsports.
To order a copy of this show, send a check or money order for $15, including shipping and handling, to Mainly Motorsports, 2 Main Street, Suite 17-103, Biddeford, Maine, 04005. And please add the show number in the description of the show.
Well, welcome back, and in case I don't have time at the end because we're going to have to cut it because you're going to go and I'm just going to have to say that's it. Thank you for coming on this week. It's always a pleasure to have you. There's so much, a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of memories. We haven't even scratched the surface, and we'll do more. We have to do more with this. But I don't need you to say anything other than let's talk about civility.
Let's talk about civility. And the thing we were discussing about my son, he was out on the track, and an incident happened. He ended up spun around or something. I'm steaming, raving. He comes in at the end of the race. I'm at the window going, that guy ran into you, blah, 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 blah. And he looked at me and he said, will you save it? And I said, what? He said, the guy in front of me dumped his transmission or something, and we were all in the oil. The guy didn't dump me. I was sideways. We all ran into each other. He said, and I don't want you going around yelling at people, because everyone that you yell at is somebody that's going to run into you next week. Stop. Calm down. If you want to know what happened on the track, ask me. So when you're a fan and you're watching your favorite guy race, just because he gets turned around doesn't mean that he was a victim of something. It's nothing for you to be uncivil about. And that leads to the civility discussion, because I'm on Facebook. Everyone reads Facebook for the most part. And it's really rough sometimes, the things that people post, especially about racing. I have that NASCAR thread. And people say the nastiest stuff. And then you go on the race talk thing for the Speedway, and these people are saying awful things. And I have to remind everybody, when you go to repost something that smells, or give a nasty answer to someone on Facebook, before you do that, stop and ask yourself, if someone who isn't a race fan reads that, would they want to become a race fan?
I don't want to hang out with those people.
We're in this thing where, because of extreme competition with newer medias and different things that come out, it's hard to fill a race stadium. Little one, big one. Because people are distracted. There's other things to do. We're competing.
So many other things to do.
And when we say and do things that reflect poorly on racing, we're just making it worse for ourselves. So it's kind of like saying things about your family. If someone in your family says something that offends you, you shouldn't criticize them in public. You should go tell them. And when I ask this to be civil about racing, it's because it's a challenge to keep it successful.
How much negativity do we see on Facebook? Whether it's
terrible.
A program at a certain track, the safety crew, the speed of how they clear the track, the food prices, the facility, the racing, the car counts. I mean, if I'm on Facebook looking for something to do and I hear somebody read something about a track that's got the car counts are terrible or the program's too long, you know the last thing I'm doing? Going there.
Right. But we can't have people read our Facebook post and say, well, I don't want to go to the racetrack. This place has got to be awful.
It's crazy. And to the same extent, this division used to be the worst division at Thursday Thunder as far as I'm concerned, the Ladies League. Okay? I don't know where they all thought they were going. I don't know where they all thought they were, but there were a bunch of women trying to drive a race car, right? Right? You know what used to happen? I don't think Thursday Thunder was over, and they were on Facebook, mother effing each other. This one did this one can't do this. So I said to my daughter during the off season, she used to run Legends, a little bit out of her league, a little bit more time consuming. I said, well, what do you think about we go down and build a Thursday Thunder car and go play? She said, Dad, I don't want to go do race that. She said, why? She goes, Dad, I don't want to screw up and then have people calling me names on Facebook.
Absolutely.
So they cost themselves a car.
And, there's two things that really help civility. Number one is wait. If something happens at the Speedway on Saturday night or Thursday night during the race, do not, while your emotions are up and your eyeballs are bulging, go talk to anybody about it. Shut up, go home, see if someone posts video of it so you can find out if you're even on the right move.
You're right to a point, unless you're the person that did something wrong. If you did something wrong, man up and go see that guy.
I dread, because my son is the first one. The last year, he was having a bad night, and he ended up spinning himself and Todd Libby and the 27 car, Burgess.
Yeah.
And they were all buddies. They all race with each other, and they really like door-to-door racing with each other and they come in after the race, and Todd looked at him kind of like and Johnny said, all on me. There was a hole for a minute. It was closed as I drove my way into it. It wasn't even open as I started in. I just couldn't stop. I made the wrong decision, and I took us all out. And they all looked at each other and said, "Well, let's try not to have that happen next week." But yeah, if you're gonna do stuff, you need to man up then. But if you just want to criticize and rant, wait. Give it some time. Find out if someone posted a video. Go talk to the driver. Maybe the driver missed the shift. I have been convinced that someone spun someone on the restart time after time, and the guy that got spun says, I missed a shift. And
well, and we've seen this with GoPros now. You're the guy in the front, okay? And you're running fourth, the guy in fifth. You get turned around coming off two ears, everybody in the stands going like this. What happened? What did he do? That guy just turned him, right? And then you go look at the GoPro footage. You watch the guy gets in the throttle, gets loose, lifts out of the throttle. Well, when you're the guy behind him in the throttle, at a point where you should be in the throttle, stuff happens. So
and that's
you're absolutely right. And like I said, we could go on forever on this. But we'll have to bring you back for another time because...
Before we go, back in November of 2014, they published an article in Speedway Illustrated that I wrote. It was about good thoughts about Malcolm Graham and the good things that he did, because he was a guy who had a lifetime of doing good things for racing. And it talked about different things that happened. And it ended with this paragraph. And I think 5 years later that this paragraph is maybe even more relevant than it was when I wrote it. It says, the end of the article was, so when you head out to the races, remember Malcolm Graham. Smile more, complain less, give more people the benefit of the doubt, be a better sport.
No, absolutely. Words of wisdom. And there's a guy that's missed.
Absolutely.
On a daily basis.
I now share something a great quote for guys that are insiders at the Speedway. At one point, Malcolm turned to Frank Noyles, Jr., the competition director at Peach Ridge, and said to him, for years I paid to come to this place, and now they pay me to come here. And, being the announcer, I get a stipend for that, and it's like, I'm getting paid to go to the races. This is wonderful.
No, absolutely.
And Malcolm enjoyed that, and we miss him greatly because, like Bob Libby, who was another sober character, the character thing that they had that's really important is that they could disagree with you without calling you names, without being uncivil.
Okay.
They had civility.
Are you done?
Yes, I am.
All right, because if you're not, we're cutting your commercials this week. All right, thanks, Dan. I hope you guys all enjoy this week's episode of Mainly Motorsports. Always fun when Dan Wolf's in the house. Not quite as fun as getting invited to his Christmas party, but it's still fun to have him here.